Good afternoon, I'm Allison Johnson with the Non-Traditional Student Assembly, and today we have the pleasure of speaking with Mr. Terrence Wyatt, who is a counselor at USC Upstate.
Hello, how are you?
And Mr. Wyatt has a good story to share with us today about his journey as a non-traditional student. So Mr. Wyatt, will you please tell us a little bit about your story?
Oh yeah, I love talking about me. I started school back in 1992, and I shared at the luncheon, at the non-traditional student luncheon, that I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was clueless. Well, I wanted to get away from my grandmother's house. I wanted to kind of live life a little bit. I wanted to do some things that I couldn't do at grandma's house. So I got a chance to go to school, went to school, and it blew my mind. All the freedom, all the just fun. I mean, I thought about something, so you mean to tell me I don't have anyone asking me where I'm going, how I'm going, I can stay out as long as I want to stay out and have all this wonderful fun? Sign me up. I'm in college, I'm a college man. First semester, I think I did a 2.27. I think I did a 2.7. I'm feeling myself, you know, oh, yeah, I can do this college thing. Next semester, no, I struggled. Each semester I say I would struggle more and more. Never made an A or a B, got down to C's, D's, F's. I don't know if you remember the old show, What's Happening, but I was called rerun by my friends because I went from academic probation to off of probation to back on probation. This went on for about like 4 years and got burnt out. I got tired. Most of my friends were getting ready to graduate. I didn't want to be left behind. The bright spot was I met my girlfriend, who is now my wife of 20 years. And we fell in love and all that, but I just wasn't feeling college anymore. I was burnt out, so I quit. I would advise anyone that wants to leave college for whatever reason, leave the right way. Don't just up and quit. Go through the proper channels. I left there in 1996. We got married in 1997, and I started working. It's okay, well, I'm not in college. I gotta go get a job. I got a wife now. And I worked at a job called Avery Dennison for about a year. 12-hour shifts, 7 days a week. That's rough on a marriage. Newlyweds, and she wants to spend time with me, and maybe I gotta go to work. Because now I have a responsibility. We're getting together and different things like that. Did that for a year, and I ended up working at the mill. It paid the bills. It provided, because at Avery Dennison, I was never full-time. I was always part-time, and no matter how many times I would try to apply for a full-time position, I never could get it. So I had no benefits. So she was doing her student teaching at the time, because she graduated from Atlanta and became a teacher. And so it was rough. It was hard. So I had to leave that job, Avery Dennison. I went to work in Clinton Mill for about a year. Hated it. Oh, I hated that job. But I had to do what I had to do, because now it wasn't about me. It was about me and her. So got through, I worked there for a year, and a job at Clinton High School opened up, the local high school in Clinton, South Carolina. And I worked there for 7 years. I was the maintenance. Maintenance one was my title. I cut the grass. In off season, when school was out, my job was to cut the grass, make sure everything was set, football fields, baseball fields. And I gotta be honest with you, I liked that job. It paid well, it was pretty good money, and I was pretty well content. Well, my wife, sweet as she is, would always say, baby, you wanna go back and kind of finish what you started? No, I'm good. I'm making money, I'm all right. So she would come back, baby, pray about that. Don't you want to go back to school and finish? She said, you were so close. No, I'm old now. I'm in my 30s, and what would I look like going to college? I mean, come on, all these young kids and stuff, we had nothing in common. And she said, okay. So just so it was, my coworkers would come, and one particular guy named Mr. Jimmy Evans, he's dead and gone now. He come to me one day and he said, what are you doing here? I said, I'm working. And he said, you don't belong here. So what are you talking about? He said, you need to be in college. He said, man, you're too intelligent for doing this. Why? He said, this is what I do. He said, you want to end up like me? I was like, it's not even that serious. I mean, I'm married now. He said, Terrence, go back to school, get your degree. I'm like, okay. So hearing him talk, then my wife talk. So I said, okay. I said, well, let me tell you, I'm gonna pray about it. Because at that point, after I left school, well, I had given my heart to the Lord, to Jesus Christ, prior to leaving school. And I told my wife, I said, well, I tell you what, if I'm gonna do this, it's gotta be night and day. I've got to apply myself, I gotta push myself. She said, baby, do it. I prayed about it, I got that peace. She said, I'll help you, so she figured out, we did our FAFSA and everything, and here I am, in college. 30-something years old, sitting in college, but all these 19 and 20-year-olds, I'm like, what am I doing here? But at that point, I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be a special education teacher because I had a passion for working with kids, and that's been always. And so, one particular story, and I shared this at the luncheon, I had my niece, I had a project where I had to bring someone, a child with me. So I had my 12-year-old niece. So I'm sitting in this computer class, and I've been out of school for a while now, almost like 10 years. So I hear the lady say, okay, get your rubric. We're gonna do the rubric. I immediately think the rubric is a button on the computer. So I'm pushing buttons, I'm like, where's the rubric? I can't find the rubric, where's the rubric? And my niece was 12 years old. She was right beside me, she said. And I pushed some button and I turned the whole computer off. I was, oh my God, anxiety to the top. And my niece said, Mama Terry, push that button. So, huh? She said, push that button. So I pushed the button, come back on. And then she said, I pushed that button. So I'm sitting here listening to my 12-year-old niece figuring the computer. So I'm pushing buttons and everything. So we got through with the class. I went down to the professor. I said, I can't do this. She said, huh? I said, I cannot do this. I don't know what I was thinking to go back to college. This is crazy. I'm gonna fail this class. I want out of this. And she's like, calm down, what's wrong, what's wrong? I said, I didn't even know what the rubric button was. And she said, excuse me, the rubric button? I said, the rubric button. You told us to push the button. She said, Mr. Wyatt, I'm so sorry. She said, the rubric is the outline of what we're going. She said, I'm a teacher. And she said, I didn't know you didn't know. She said, I'm so sorry. She said, it's not a button on the computer. I said, it's not? She said, no. I said, you see, I can't even tell that. I don't need to be here. She said, Mr. Wyatt, calm down. It's okay. So, long story short, I got a B out of that class. But it was a lot of nights that I wanted to quit. It was a lot of, one night I said, I'm done with this. I was studying, I said, I'm not doing it. My wife came in, she said, you're not gonna quit. I said, yes, I am. She said, no, you're not. She said, you're gonna finish this, you're too close. She said, you're gonna give up on us? You're gonna give up on me? I said, but you don't have to take all these tests. She said, I'll help you. What is it? Is it math? I'm a math teacher, I can help you with it. I don't wanna do this. And she got tough. She said, no, you're finishing, buddy. You're gonna finish because we didn't put all this money into this. You're gonna finish this. I said, okay. So years go on, and I'm getting the grades. I mean, I'm looking at my reports, and I'm like A's and B's. I'm not rerun anymore. I'm making it. I'm doing it. So, long story short, I get ready to graduate. Well, let me go back a little bit. When I decided to go my last senior year, my baby girl was born. Madison Wyatt. And then I was like, okay, now my daughter is here. I can't finish this because my wife is working. I'm trying to go to school. So who's gonna help us? Oh man, what are we gonna do? Well, I can sit out of here. No, you're not. You're not gonna sit out of here. Well, I can sit out of here because Madison's too small, daycare, this and that. She said, let me talk to my mom and you talk to your mom. So I called my mom and I said, Mom, I got a little situation. I got one more year left in college. Do you think you can watch Madison? Hey, you don't have to ask me to watch my grandbaby. You're doing school. Let me know what days you need me. Now, my mother stayed in Newberry, which is my hometown. So she would drive from Newberry to Clinton in the mornings. Like, I would have to be to class sometime like 8 o'clock. She'd be there at 6 o'clock. The days she couldn't do it, my mother-in-law would come in and say, "You're trying to better yourself. You're trying to get your degree, baby. Don't worry about it." We would watch Madison for a whole year. My mother watching it, my mother-in-law watching. I'm like, wow. So my wife like, "I told you, you're gonna finish this. God wants you to do this." So here I get ready to graduate, walk across that stage, not thinking that I would ever go back to college. And they call my name, and I look across the stage, and I look toward my left, my wife, my mother, my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, he's no longer with us, God bless him, 2 of my nieces, and my baby girl, a year old. And I said, man, wow, this thing really happened. Went across the stage, got my degree, hugged them. Some of my professors came to me. "We're so happy for you. We knew you was gonna make it." One of my professors said, "You brought something to the class every day that the kids around you, I watch." She said, "I would sit back and watch. You taught them." And I was like, "No, I needed somebody to teach me." She said, "No, you brought life. You brought an experience. You brought something that these kids had no idea." And she said, "I want to thank you. You taught me something." So I'm tearing up, she crying and everything. So graduated from Lander. And about 2 years later, I decided, well, no. Once again, my wife, Tammy, she said, "Well, I'm going for counseling. What are you gonna do?" So I'm doing. I done that now. I done walked across the stage and got my degree. That's it. I'm done. She said, "Well, I want to be a counselor. I feel like God's leading me toward counseling." And she said, "Pray about it. We can go together." Okay, what's going on? I said, "All right, it's okay, fine. So here we go. 2010, I go to Liberty University in Lynchburg, Virginia. Now, I couldn't physically be there, so I was here at that time I was living in Clinton. So I would online. I did online work for 3 years. Graduated. A's and B's. No more rerun. And I didn't walk that time. I didn't walk across the stage. There's 2,500 people. No. Just send me my degree in the mail. I'll get it. Thank you. And that's how I got it. That's my little story. Non-traditional student. Rerun.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I do have one follow-up question for you.
Okay.
In your journey, what was the most difficult hurdle for you as a non-traditional student, and how did you overcome it?
Self-doubt. A lot of times I would be wanting to give up. I can't do this. And it's imperative to have someone in your life that would be that voice of reason. I had my wife. I had God. That would say, "You can do it." Sometimes as a non-traditional student, you look at, "I'm too old to do this. I forgot half the stuff that these kids are learning." But when you got someone positive in your life, really honing you and really pushing you in a gentle way, it makes you want to go above and beyond. So that would probably be the main thing, just the self-doubt, even if I did not do so well on the test, I would beat myself up, or if I felt like I didn't study hard enough. But overall, just having someone positive in your life, that helped me get through it.
And thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you learned a lot from Mr. Wyatt's story. It was an incredible story that he was willing to share with us today. And if you're interested in seeing any more of Mr. Wyatt's story and more of his candid conversation about being a non-traditional student, as well as seeing what counseling services may have to offer you, please check out our other videos. They're going to be available on our YouTube website as well as our Facebook page.